the, yeah, the prompt on this was something like anthropomorphic humanoid spirit warrior badger priest uh, preparing for tomorrow's existential battle at a quiet pond with an owl spirit guide, grim, weary, determined, prepared, confident for tomorrow's battle, so that the people may thrive. So I'm not sure where they got that, unless that's the existential threat in the background. It could be. We're ready for it no matter what it is. It has to cross water. So we'll learn something about it before it gets here. Let's see. Was that 5 minutes? We got everybody, or are we ready to go?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, hey, appreciate your time and patience, guys. Covered a lot of material. Um, I did my best to kind of derail it by looking beyond pure mechanical swing trading, as is my nature. So I apologize for that. I really just want to say that you're on a journey in which your goal is to take these pieces of psychology and market analysis and system development and try to find that sweet spot in which you have systems that are well designed to exploit particular moments in the market and which you are well suited for operating, whether that's mechanical or with some discretion or whatever. We're trying to expand the size of that sweet spot. So a lot of that has to do with just knowing who you are, what you're trying to do, and what kind of environment that you're doing it in, and finding our edges and exploiting those, identifying our weaknesses, improving those, or working with a team that can help provide mutual support. So that's kind of the spirit of what we do. Oops. Stand by. There we go. Yeah, so I use this mental imagery of our community of practice. It was done for me by one of our traders once upon a time. Our little community of practice that has the mill where the work is done, where all the farmers can bring their stuff and we collectively process it and ship it on down the river so that the people may thrive, supported by protected growing spaces and open to commerce, but also connected to the larger world and the larger ecosystem driven by water and wild animals and hunting as well as gathering, in some effort to try to regulate our environment in some ways. And the idea being a cooperate and graduate and be ready for all seasons informs our spirit of the community of practice. If I had to render it down into our learning ecosystem and how we prepare, I did this in 2019. I haven't made any changes to it, so it's pretty good. There's our top level process, plan, prepare, which makes us ready to trade, in which case we execute. And then when we survive, we assess our execution, our preparation, our planning, and the idea being that we are in the zero state, ready to trade as the centerpiece. Uh, if I were to talk about how we learn, I would incorporate all of these elements of modern adult learning theory, where we take into account multiple ways of knowing, that we use very strong metaphors and analogies to make sure that we resource our learning environment in the same way that we resource our trading environment, that we develop systems and indicators and tips so that we have very specific mechanical systems. We have a little bit more relaxed strategies in which we apply general principles with some interpretation and intuition, that we have certain refined techniques that apply to multiple systems, like specific exits that are common to all, or specific entries, or methods of analysis, and that we have just things that we know. Like I tried to share a tip today about accelerating my stop to the skin of the dragon after I have an above average win in hand and the RL10 is rolled over. That's just a tip. And that's good for any time frame that you're on if you want to optimize the gains of your above average wins. And that's psychologically important because you don't want to let the big ones get away. You want to feel like you're doing better on the best trades. And that will help you stay with your regular trading program when you can handle the big ones well. So that's what I mean by model base. When we're learning, we're learning about all of these domains: psychology, systems, market, and then how to integrate those in a practical trading system. We look at our body of knowledge as a process by which we're using the creativity of our imagination. We're looking out into the world for evidence. We're scouting around likely places. We're doing analytical research. We know how to test. We know how to accept the results of tests in order to begin increasing our position sizing while reducing risk. In some places where the system is no longer aligned with the market, looking to retire that system, and all of that getting documented in your trading book, which is the most important book that you can read, which is the one that you write. Our learning follows these principles, self-explanatory, and we have a variety of resources that allow us to conduct simultaneous, synchronous, and asynchronous learning in individuals and in groups. That's kind of what this is, one of those artifacts. When I talk about alignment, I'm looking to make sure that who I am as a person with my purpose, identity, mission, and values is reflected in how I organize my workspace and resource it, and how that influences the way that I perform tactically as a trader in a way that survives and thrives in all time frames over long periods of time, good weather, bad weather, no matter how I'm feeling. I want to be aligned with my identity all the way down into how I perform each of these critical routine tasks. To talk about the parts, these are the parts of my trading system. Some of these are me, some of them are trusted others or a blend. And all of these elements are things that I look at the way I'm performing my trading business and performing trades to make sure that I'm getting multiple perspectives on what I do. I use Henry Mintzberg's insights about leadership and management as being simultaneously science and art and craft to influence the way that I learn, research, and work. I believe in letting your systems earn their money by scaling it through after a successful back test and then a successful forward paper trading, then forward live money, skin in the game, very small scale prototype, then limited production as it earns money going forward until it becomes a full production system, trading its own money. And then I feel like I've blended the best of back testing but getting on with the Lord's work. The processes that I try to use are very manufacturing oriented. I want to be systematic. I want to be visual, have robust systems and processes for all weather. I use the Japanese principle of Kanban and Gemba in order to make continuous statistics-based improvements in all of my performances constantly. When it comes to execution, I look at standard trade management as a way to reflect that in the 10 decisions I make in a trade, one of them has to do with entry. The other 9 have to do with adjusting my stop to respond to price action. And that I go through a deliberate process of it, studying and improving that. I just want the entry to be good enough. And then I spend all my time working on modifying the exit rules and exit management rules in order to reflect my own personal risk profile and my purposes. In execution, I have to have, as Griff said, 4 things in order to take a trade. There has to be time available for the expected move to occur. I have to be in the right mindset or zero state with the will. I have to have a defined pattern with no shortcuts, and I have to have risk capital available to trade it. If I have all four of those things, I'm allowed to take the trade. If one of those is missing, I don't take the trade. The one that is usually the most vulnerable, or the one that disappears the most, is my ability to stay in the zero state. So therefore, exercises and practices that I do to improve my willpower and my professional attitude are central to what I do. I use something that comes out of the Army artillery process, a D3A, where I am constantly scanning my sector in order to detect an opportunity, decide if I'm going to take it, deliver a particular strategy or system to hit it, and then assess the results uh, as a transaction in the trading process. I use this kind of top-down analysis where I'm starting with the market and then a sector, and then I study my target in order to come up with a standard trade frame according to the principles you've seen in this course. When I'm getting ready to pull the trigger, I'm going to be in a zero state using the principles of Army sniping and marksmanship. I must have a steady position. I must have a clear sight picture. I've controlled my breathing. And then in the natural respiratory pause between exhale and inhale, I squeeze the trigger until I'm surprised by the entry. In terms of assessment, the the secret sauce is not secret. It's only rare that people go through a process of daily after action review where we systematically evaluate our plan, prepare, execute, and assess phases to see what can be sustained, what should be improved, and then what specific actions do we want to take. And then each day, I want to pick one or two of those highest priority actions in order to come over here to my to-do list and make sure that I get those actions put into play and ready to execute tomorrow. As I go through my debriefing, I'm taking a look at aha moments that surprise me for whatever reason. I think about them. I decide what kind of action I'm going to take, and then I record the results once I've taken that action. The priority of these things also goes into my to-do list. So I'm always monitoring all of the things that I've committed to learning, and then I use my managerial to-do list to make sure that I'm always working on the most important thing that has the biggest payoff for my trading process going forward. And so that's an adaptive list that needs to be reviewed periodically. I'm doing my assessments in the chat room in public and with others. I have my own personal learning journal of my trading charts. I partner with people to do my coaching, and I do a monthly coaching call with my trading coach in order to review my process and what I think is going on. I record every trade that I take. I mark it up. I keep track of my scores. I look at my histogram, and I'm looking very strictly for three things. No losses greater than 1R. I'm looking for a normal histogram between -1 and +2. And then third, I'm looking for a fat right tail, which means I'm open to excessively large gains, even though I don't deserve them. When I'm looking to get into the zero state and thinking about mindfulness, I have a variety of techniques I've learned over the years that fall underneath the concept of zero state. It's how to focus like a sniper, to use the freeze framer from Heart Math to help me regulate my breathing and standardize my heartbeat. I have totem animals that are my visualizations, like the badger, who reminds me of what I'm about. The book Atomic Habits is a great way to improve your behavior one habit at a time deliberately and through deliberate practice. I use my military training for battle stations in order to get my mind state right at the moment of opening and at the moment of trading. I constantly journal, and I try to start and finish each of the trading days with acceptance, gratitude, and forgiveness in order to get my mind right. So, if I were to categorize all of the pieces and parts of our learning environment, that's what I would, that would be my one-page template. We are a learning organization, I would say. And in that learning organization, we use this process to start with um, a high support from the teacher directing how we do things. That's the leader level of teacher support. And then with new students, kind of following the rules by the numbers with mechanical systems. And then we gradually release responsibility to students when they're ready with their acceptance, so that at the end, you go from I do and you watch what I'm doing to you do and I watch with possible coaching. And this describes the roles of the teacher and the student along the way. What we've learned is that when you adopt a coaching mindset and help others, that you can help the person who is doing the trading with the resources and perspectives that you bring to help them improve the story of their trading. And then you take turns in the middle, and that collaboration makes us a self-directed learning environment that has all of these features in common. That's what we mean by a community of practice working together. I really want to emphasize this little process of how to improve your trading practice. Everything comes into here. That's the measurable item. Well, if you document your trade process, marking up your charts, that's going to improve your trading practice. And you'll notice your improved trading practice when you do that. If you share that document in the chat room, you're going to get experiential learning. The experiential learning of the chat room, whether you're posting things or not, but just reading it, is going to lead to your improved trading practice. If you document your stuff and put it in the chat room, that is going to improve your trading practice. If you document your trades and you put them in an organized lesson learned journal, that journal is going to help you improve your trading practice because you have one go-to place with all your game film. You can actually present the results of your learned lessons from your journal at our annual research weekend, in which you get peer-reviewed personal coaching in public, and it acts as a graduation ceremony. And if you participate in that, either presenting or just buying a ticket to support the researchers, and you just listen in to the 15 years of annualized research weekends, you're going to find that you can generate systems or adapt systems that'll improve your trading process. You'll see ways to analyze the market better, which will lead to improved trading practice. And you'll see psychological exercises and make partnerships, which will improve your trading practice. That self-analysis, when you learn to look at your own performance through a coaching eye, is going to make you a better coach. If you participate in active coaching, that's going to improve your trading practice, and your improved trading practice will then make you a better coach, which improves the way you look at game film and document. Once you get moving on this flywheel and you start engaging in all of those behaviors, you are engaging in a virtuous cycle. And what that helps you do is climb the spiral mountain by visiting all of these different pieces and parts of plan, prepare, execute, and assess. In support of that, we have courses that are available if you're interested. You guys are looking at Griff and Phil's newest one, which is the swing. That's our first iteration of that. They have the Think or Swim bundle, the Kata 2 challenge, but they are my associates and they are certified in teaching this stuff, and they do a far better job than I do. Danny is our partner who did the TC 2000 bundle, which we're going to hand off to the next generation of TC 2000 experts, because Danny is a hedge fund advisor as well as a hedge fund manager, and his business has gotten so good through the use of that bundle that he doesn't have time to maintain it anymore. So rather than let it go fallow, I got a couple guys that are super trader graduates who are TC 2000 experts who are going to take that on. Now, we're going to allow that for sale at $3,000, which is 40% off the full price of $5,000. We're not going to make any improvements on it between end of July and December, so that the two guys can get fully read in on it. But Danny's going to provide support to anybody that buys it between now and the end of the month. we made a cutoff date and posted on our website that 31 July is the last day that's going to be available. If the two guys get on board faster, I'm not sure what price we're going to be at. It's going to be between those two numbers, but you can get it right now as is at 3,000. It's a bulletproof professional package. Danny also created an options course, which is the only options course in the world that is designed to work specifically with the mechanical systems that you just learned. That's a separate course. He's going to continue to sell that and offer support, but it's 11 lessons that go in detail on how to do options. I'm not an options guy. I understand them, but I don't feel them. A friend of mine, Eric Morrison, a rocket scientist and a fellow Army professor, has a community of practice that looks at automating Forex with scripts. I can put you in contact with him if you're interested. Glenn is a friend of mine, a professional musician and now a professional trader who does a very good job of helping folks that are trying to get over some of the psychological challenges that happen with folks that are transitioning from a profession into coaching or into trading. Luke Crockford is working on an automated 5-minute system down in Australia. You guys may have seen Bill Scheit and Jeff Boccaccio, who have taken my long-term systems and turned it into a modified blended monthly rebalancing, and they've applied those principles to their PRX crypto coin swing system, which is amazing. My brother is working on a sniper trading for 3-day and 9-day charts for people that want to use the same patterns that we use in our advanced sniper trading intraday, but on the much longer term charts where you get to take the benefit of that fractal pattern. Now, in terms of courses that I specifically teach, I teach a comprehensive 80-lesson foundations course, which is a pay once, have access lifetime. A Creativity 202 course in which I take the world-class creativity training that Angus Fletcher and I did for the United States Army, and which is being adopted across all of Army schools and Fortune 50 companies. This is also a lifetime course that will improve the volume and quality of your creative instincts when facing troubles. It's just an amazing cognitive experience. Foundational trading are the lessons that I've learned and that I teach, which apply to the core trading, which is like BMR, and day trading, and all of the variations on swing trading that I teach. You've seen the mechanical system, but there's a certain set of common frames of reference that are found in the foundations course. It's my capstone course in that sense. And then I teach a hybrid trading course, which combines elements of core, swing, and day. I just started a coaching program this year. I've got 3 cohorts. I'm going to start a cohort up in 1 October. You can sign up for that. And then I just do nightly operational trading in which I'm doing coaching for guys that are in the coaching course. And I review the sniper trade of the day. I review all of the posted charts from any of my students from any course. When they post them in our chat room, I give them nightly feedback on what to look for and what not. We have about 8 years of nightly archives recorded with all of that. When you join Patreon, you have access to all of that stuff. It's pretty amazing. So the point I want to make is that there is a virtuous cycle in this process, which combines learning with doing, with performance coaching on how to do better and how to learn better. And that all of my courses are pay once and lifetime lifetime access with all future improvements already rolled in. So more on that if you're interested. I think on the Edge Raider when I talked about this, but the essence of what I do in this hybrid approach is I'm starting with my tools and training and resources and the team, and I'm competing in the market with my actions against everybody else that has tools, training, and resources. And I think our edge consists in understanding these pieces and parts and how they affect us and then manifest in our actions. I have a standard set of symbols that I specialize in. I scan them for patterns that are firing. I use my craftsmanship approach to frame the trade. I trade them ruthlessly and relentlessly in the same way every day. I conduct daily after action reviews to guide my improvement actions. I use evidence to replace beliefs and theories. And I find ways to improve my process so that my actions never backslide beyond a reasonable level. I use descriptive statistics in order to guide my focus. I use this professional performance model to make sure that I am learning at a steady, continuous rate, getting over my weaknesses and fears and reluctances into the development of specific skills and then into high performance, which I then use the part of me that is a trail boss to manage my learning and development while also moving on to the land of milk and honey. This little idea here is that of the 10 decisions I'm going to make in a trade, one of them has to do with entry. All of the other ones have to do with how I adjust my stop until price itself moves me out of the trade, or I elect to take a sniper exit based on my discretion. And so when I am conducting sniper trading, which is how I bring my intuitive trader quality number to play, I'm using a very focused set of patterns with very specific techniques on how to trade them on the screen, whether it's on 3 minute, 30 minute, daily, or 9 day. I manage all of my exits in exactly the same way on every time frame, and I perform my learning in a structured way as I've described across the board. That's my personal development and trading process. Mechanical trading is part of that. I believe that the best way to approach this material is by understanding what is in our foundational trading, which describes how we do long-term trading, swing trading, day trading in general, how we reconcile that with psychology and learning. And then we gave you these two books already. The book number one in swing trading is understanding the person on the other side of the trade so that you respect them, but you understand what it is that they're looking for, so you can determine why your edge should work against the people in the swing trade market that describes. This makes sure that you know the opponent and you know the rules. And the other book that we gave you in this course was the Handbook of Mechanical Swing Trading Patterns and Rules, along with about 200 slides that I have used over the last 20 years to teach the swing trading patterns and rules, and which could be the basis of future questions or discovery learning if you have questions you'd like to ask me in the future, which I'm happy to do. Phil and Griff, just figure out one day for each of the next 3 months that if anybody in this workshop wants to ask specific questions on my time, they just put them together and we'll get that going as an additional benefit. This is how I integrate my trading. I've sort of already described swing trading as the central piece. You can do that mechanically without regard to the other time frames. We teach how to do day trading separately, how to do position trading separately, but we also teach how to adapt and combine with core and turbo trading, whether you're doing long-term and swing trading and day trading. There's some synergy that you get by mixing the time frames. And there is a way to develop a meta system that combines all of those and the core and turbo into one rule to one ring to rule them all, which goes all the way from monthly time frames all the way down to minute charts and then everything in between. Because our patterns are fractal and because our edges are professional, statistical, and disciplined, the edge that we have applies in every single time frame, and there's a synergy in the way that we do that. One of the simplest ways that you might think of that is to say the 6 mechanical systems that you got, if you thought of that as system B, and if you thought it had something like a 60% win rate that paid off 2 to 1, and the trades typically last 2 to 10 days, it might be that you end up hooking into a short-term swing trade pattern that could end up growing because it never hits your stop. And that might become part of your monthly rebalancing system in system A. So the simplest way to appreciate the power of hybrid trading is to realize that if you've got a long-term system, some of those candidates can be traded with these patterns in a turbo fashion. And some of these trades that work really well, maybe 10%, maybe 20% could end up continuing to go. And now you have a way to grow your trade into a longer position and just using the same exit strategy to manage that. And that's how you start blending your time frames. All of my swing trading begins with an appreciation from the market classification of what the S&P typically does in these different categories. The times when the S&P is by default upwards is any bull plus sideways quiet as we've defined it. It is reliably downward leaning in any bear as we've defined it. And then in sideways volatile and sideways normal, it's basically a wash and there's no extra advantage to hold things overnight. So when I'm looking to optimize my swing trading, I take into account what is the broad market condition that I'm trying to swim in. It just makes sense to me. It's one way that you might begin to improve your performance. To get to an earlier discussion about the MACD histogram, even though it's not directly connected to the systems, imagine you had something like the MACD histogram where you had very clear bear markets and then winter, and that rolled into spring, and at some point was summer and over, and you might define each of those as market classifications. I could now map each of my mechanical swing patterns and say, you know what, when the market is clearly going down, it turns out that 5DD and 5DD failures, the ETF overreaction, and the triple screen all work very well in there. And that at the bottom, 5DDs and washouts are likely to appear more often. And you really want to take the failure patterns. When the thing hits a -1 exit, that's when you want to stop and reverse and pile on because it's so bad. And then as it starts improving, so these other mechanical systems start filling in, and that's where you get most of your payoff. And at the top of bull markets, the last things that continue to be good are these robust ETF2, which is a separate system, not mechanical, but the triple screen as well. The ETF2 is a system we teach in our advanced swing. You don't need to know that in order to trade efficiently. Now, this is what I want to show you why you might be interested in the MACD. This is the last X number of months in the S&P 500, just looking at the MACD 4 seasons. And I want to highlight the 0 line right here. And I've identified in each of these circles very clear, uncontroversial turning points. Like this one was very interesting to me and put me in a green upward bias because I'd seen that the signal line bottomed out, came into the Red River, bottomed out again, but made a higher low. This is actually the COTA 2, but it's on the MACD. So I became very interested in buying selectively at this green line. And then as long as that kept improving all the way up into here, this was an unmitigated bullish strong move. And that, since I know that, I'm really aggressive in taking all of my swing trade entries at maximum position size until I get the first warning. Then there's a pullback to the spine of the dragon, then a revert. Now this is key because it could not achieve the previous height. And now I've got to be very careful. I'm in the fall. I can still take systems, but it has already one strike against it. It held support here. There was a short growing system. This became a second warning sign on yellow because it could not achieve the previous level. And now I've got this downward sloping trend. And now when this broke here below this line, that was the test. This was an unmitigated disaster and allowed me to take advantage of short side weakness in an otherwise bull market and allowed me to optimize swing trades that were looking at weakness. When this thing held support here, right where it held support there, this was an amazing recovery. And now it's lather, rinse, and repeat. And where we are today, as of Friday, is at a moment of extreme caution, purely tactical trading, because this thing could explode or explode in either direction and be unsurprising simply because of the market condition. Now, I can look at that and make those determinations without seeing price. But if I were to map that to price and just carry those lines forward, and now what I've done is I've minimized the signal generator for MACD, I can now see how all of those regions and seasons map to the performance of SPY, which is the prime drummer that drives all of the things that I'm trading. That's the market condition. So these first two recoveries gave me a readiness to be alert for a recovery. Here's that first COTA 2. Now I want you to notice what happens from the clear entry signal to the clear exit signal. An amazing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-month period of uninterrupted growth in which I had a few moments to be cautious, still optimistic and long, but be cautious here and here. Then this red line allowed me to pile on this thing. I was in cash on all my long positions and was murdering this thing on the short side with intraday trading and very short-term swing trading. But when it reversed here, I now had an opportunity with the COTA 2 entry to take advantage of that entire move. But because we had already seen a significant sell-off, I was clear to take my profits here, to re-enter here and take profits here, and now to be mindful of this condition of nervousness and maximum chaos that we find ourselves in between now and November, when U.S. politics are the silly season. There are so many potential policy changes that could happen in the next 3 to 4 months that you better be prepared for shorter term trading, like swing trading, and making sure that you lock in your gains. So as I go through my process as a swing trader and a day trader, this is my trading process, my daily report. I have a couple things early in my report that give me insights into market conditions over various time frames. Then I have actionable signals on certain parts of my dashboard. And then I have additional things that I use for fine tuning that go well beyond the scope of what we're doing. In the same way that EdgeRater already automates this stuff for you, my own spreadsheets give me my trade signals filtered through my market condition understanding and fine-tuned by anything that I might use as an expert trader. But EdgeRater is already giving you things that fully manifest this, and you have information independence from me, because what EdgeRater finds is what my spreadsheets are already finding, and you don't have to wait for me to tell you what's going on. It automatically frames it for you as well. So this is what we look like on the last 150 days in the broad magenta outline, the 150-day low, 150-day high. That's also the 30-day high. This is the 30-day low in the black box. This is the 10-day low, and the 5-day low occurred on Thursday. So price is right here, and if this 30-day low breaks, we're going to fall down to here, all the way back to the 150-day anchored VWAP, which is a test of this. And if that fails, look out below. So I can use market conditions to determine what the broad state of affairs are that all my swing trades have to operate in. I care about the downside because all of my trades will start to correlate if the market explodes. This is what my 30-day fine-tuned sharpshooter eyes are looking at. Here is the anchored VWAP, the average volume weighted price for the last 3 days, the last 5 days, the last 30 days, and you can see prices already down here and looking to collapse further. So if it breaks through Friday's low and then the 30-day low, look out below all the way back to a price level of 500 would not be surprising next week. That could influence how you decide how much risk to take going forward. That's what it looks on 30-minute charts. I'm not going to cover that. So my dashboard, every day I get my mind right by looking at market classification. We're in bullish volatile. And then I look at the 10-day NDX. We are temporarily overbought. That's a good thing. Volatility is at a peak maximum on the downside, which means sharp moves in either direction are possible. I've got a couple channeling signals, SPY, the Qs in emerging markets. This is the channeling system. I'm sorry, that's the overreaction system. And then the channeling system, there's the rules, and those are the targets that I specifically look at. And none of those fired, but a couple overreaction signals did. So I can go frame them. I look at which ones are closest to their 10-day high and the furthest away from their 10-day high. Look at all the technology that sucks right now. Intel, Nvidia, Microsoft, the S&P technology. That tells you that that whole sector is vulnerable to further breakdown, or it could be ready for a channeling type move. So they are in a critical state in technology, and they're going to lead the market next week. So now I'm using market insights to help me frame the way I think about my mechanical systems. You'll see a chart similar to this in EdgeRater where I have the various mechanical signals firing yes or no, automatically computing my auto framer. I have some other signals over here, but that's really what you need to know for swing trading. So that's exactly what I look at every day to set up my swing trades. And the same thing with my favored set of ETFs. Now, just in terms of the repertoire of systems that we teach, these are the things that we teach for day trading. These are the things that we teach in the blended monthly rebalancing and very long-term swing trading. What you learned these last few days have been the mechanical trading for swing trades that are the foundations of everything else we do. I do some other things that have come out of sniper trading that refine the basic patterns here if I'm trying to get more. You don't have to do any of these, but this is a natural way to build on a basic understanding of the mechanical signals. We have a set of regression line crossover patterns. We have sniper trading, regression line fractals, and a few other advanced techniques that we use. So in terms of where you are in understanding the things that we teach, you have this and a hint of some of the things that we do in the core and some of the other swing trades. Essentially, the same patterns that I use for swing trading are things that I'm using in day trading, and that's where the fractal nature of these things occur. So once you learn the supported spring crossing and the kata 2, you're ready to trade the kata 2 on any time frame. And that's why I recommend that course in order to get into developing your intuitive or trader interpretive skills. You don't have to do kata 2 to mechanically trade swings, but if you want to get more out of it, that's the next logical place to go. When I am reviewing my trades, my signals, I should say, and I'm going through, let's say, EdgeRater or my own charts, all I do is have a little note sheet of what are the trades, what are the symbols that I should be interested in order to frame them and look carefully. So the first thing that I look at, as you can see, this is my chart. I start with all of my mechanical swing trades, and if EWW was on a 5-day down, I just write him in there, or any of those. And then I look at some of the strategies that I use. And then any continuations from yesterday that were successful but still open, I add those in there. Then I look at market conditions for volatility in the big indexes, and I make some notes over here about what to pay attention to. I look at other asset classes like treasuries, real estate, precious metals, and oil, because sometimes that shapes the things that I trade. I look carefully at all the S&P sector spiders because typically two or more of those are leading the way. And I especially pay attention to energy, finance, industrials, and tech because they trade in a leadership position and are the most diversified from each other. So one of those four is market north when the market is going north. Plus, I have a set of standard tradables that are great intraday and perform very well as swing trades like Mexico, Brazil, Win, that's the casinos, Caterpillar, Home Depot, Devon Energy, Cliff Natural Resources, a steel company, and US Steel. I should add Alcoa in there. It's my little hidden gem. So that's what I start with every day when I'm preparing my swing trade and day trading plan for tomorrow. Once I've recorded the things that are interesting, I then go in and individually frame them. What you have with EdgeRater is the ability to auto frame those right now. So you're saving an extra hour over what it takes me to do every day. I just do it because I like it. But if I was an old, tired man, I would, or smarter, I would use the EdgeRater Trade Framer because it's an unbelievably powerful tool. You know, when you look at the NDXs, and whether this is 10 or 270, you might find you put any 270 in there. You say, hey, what are the sectors that are extremely on fire and overheated? And which ones are in the middle? And is there anything that's overheated? Because if you're trading an individual company, like let's say Microsoft, and you noticed that their sector was actually lagging behind the other sectors, you might say, oh, this thing might be in a pullback and ready to go. Or if XLK was way up here, but Microsoft was way down here, you say, oh, there's something wrong with Microsoft. Or if XLK was down here and well oversold, but Microsoft was up here in the middle, I might say, Microsoft is now leading the tech sector. And if I get a signal in that, I should follow through on it. So with a little bit of artful judgment and these standard indicators in EdgeRater, there are ways that you can improve your performance and target selection. I would tell you that just in terms of support, this is my schedule for office hours every night, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to 9:30 Central. I review my sniper trade of the day, the trades of my students who I'm coaching, and you can listen to those either live or watch the video. If you want to listen to them live, you can just do that free by hitting that link and using that password. If you want to listen to the recordings, then you should become a subscriber at my Patreon account so you can get notified when it happens and you can get the recording link. I have a YouTube Shorts channel and a YouTube channel that has a lot of my public trading videos on there, many thousands. And then Command Central for me is at tortoisecapital.net, where you can see all of our trading courses and news and information. You can see a bunch of the annual briefings from the guys who attended the annual research weekend, including Phil and Griff, and you can see them as much younger men as they were earning their spurs by showing the results of their intern work. And it's worth listening to all of those because you can see what the net effect of continuous improvement in our community of practice looks like when you do the work. I should also remind you the TC 2000 bundle is on sale until July 31st, or 30 days has September, April, June, 31st, until July 31st. And for 3,000, and then it's going to be on hiatus until my two guys are comfortable with doing it. Now, the what I do for the office hours on foundations is I've been doing that with the coaching program. And if you take the foundations course and send me I don't have any active students in foundations right now. I don't know why. I maybe just talk too much, but I'm ready to do weekly office hours for foundations once more. What we're going to do is we're going to produce a book with Hamad's work. Hamad went through 2 years of the FAQs of the foundations course. And for each of the 90-minute sessions, he did a one-page standardized Cornell note sheet, plus that's indexed for all of those. And we're going to give you the links to all of those recordings so you can find even more information on the foundations course there. But yeah, I'm willing to do the foundations course again. I will probably start doing those Friday nights. I think I'll do those Friday nights starting next week if you're interested in taking that course. So you could add Friday night as the foundations Q&A. And I always do the coaching inside that room. Yeah, this is Danny's options course. That's the trading view from our factory. And this is the owl bundle that Phil and Griff put together. You can find that on Patreon and our homepage, and we'll steer you to that. Now, if you look on my Patreon page at that link, you're going to see what I put together over the years, a bunch of little courses that I call the Trader's Mind series. If for some reason you're interested in our daily and weekend reports, there's an hour-long and a 2-hour-long explanation of that for free. There is some there is a free course on gratitude and service to self and others that is free. I gave you the Meditation 101 course for free. All of these other things, if it turns out to be something you're interested in for developing your decision making or leadership or managerial stuff, all these go from anywhere from 19 to 47 bucks. They're kind of short term, easily digested, not just with trading in mind, but improving our executive decision making. I did that for a lot of my Army officers who wanted to learn how to do those things. So you'll find those to be pretty inexpensive if you're interested in them. A couple of things in the that I added just as artifacts for your use. I think Phil, you put these together. It may even be in your course, but I have this next to my trading monitor every day just to remind myself of the standard practice in any time frame for the routine patterns that I look at. And last thing is, as I think about teaching, coaching, and mentoring, this is what each of those kind of means and what counseling means and coaching means and mentoring, the differences between them. I did that for my Army guys, but I also put that together because I started the coaching cohort this year. I think that may have been the last one. I think everything else was pretty much, yeah, just noise. All right, so that's everything I wanted to cover for plan materials, and I'd be open to your questions if you have any for me right now. And like I said, I'm asking Phil and Griff to put together 3 more just straight Q&A sessions where like something on a weekend where as you get stuff after you've gone through and had a chance to monkey around with the material that you can come and get personalized Q&A at no extra charge from us, and we'll be happy to help you get to closure for the next couple months. My next coaching cohort starts up on 1 October. That's the last one that I'm going to do at the $3,000 price point. It's starting to become time consuming for me, and so prices on that's going to go up in the future. So if any of this stuff resonates with you, I'm happy to talk with you about it. But the next coaching starts 1 October. When you're in those coaching cohorts, you get access to all of the recorded coaching sessions from all the other cohorts. So there really is an extraordinary amount of hands-on, direct coaching and feedback from guys that are learning to do these systems just as you might. So if you're ready for that in the future, then you know where to find us. So that's everything I got for plan material today. I'm very appreciative of your time and attention your courtesy and your trust in us to allow us to talk to you in this way. And if there's anything I can do to be of service to you, happy to help you. Ross asks, what experience and trading tools do we need to be in the coaching program? Uh, I would, I think you could do the coaching program with just the mechanical swing systems and learning to put those into practice. I think it would be better if you did the Kata 2 challenge and this course, because you might not need coaching from me at all if I've done my job right. Because I believe between the mechanical course and Griff's Kata 2 course, well, first of all, you're going to get coaching in Kata 2, and you're going to get to see all of the Generation 2 patterns we teach, which is the intuitive patterns, like, or the, has some trader quality patterns, like supported spring crossing, Kata 2, collapsing dragon, and the Z3 pinch. Those are really all the patterns that you actually need. And with the teaching and coaching you get in there, uh, you may be good to go. If you still want coaching after that, then certainly it's easy to do. And I would take the Kata 2 course. I hate to say this, before my foundations course, because it will give you directly actionable signals that are good for a lifetime. If you discover a real affinity, though, and you want to get the much wider set to start expanding into day trading and longer term trading and more advanced swing trading, then the foundations is appropriate. Uh, and what I will do is, if you take the Kata 2 course, I'll discount that price off of the foundations course so that you're not at, you're not risking anything based on my advice, which is, can't believe I just said that, but there we are. So that's what I would say, Ross. I would work this stuff hard with Edge Raider and get really comfortable with it. And then if you find yourself wanting to do more with the mechanical signals, the absolute right way to do that is with Griff's Kata 2 course, because he's distilled that down into a couple actionable patterns in a very structured, hands-on approach to learning the rules and applying them. And it's basically what he did with me for 9 months every night. I used to just beat his brains out with nightly coaching in the chat room until he had rendered that thing down into a bulletproof set of rules and principles and practices. And that, after 9 months of intensive pain and suffering on his part, which I enjoyed, um, uh, he turned that into a really good course. So I think that's the seed crystal of what you need to know. And then you could make a decision after that if you need coaching or foundations. So that's what I'd say. Other questions? Oh, the meeting schedule for the coaching cohorts. There was a question in there. So two of my cohorts have decided they want to meet weekly. So we meet for 1 hour, and it is a structured hour session. You come in with an agenda and things to brief, and you're prepared. So I'm not teaching, you are reporting in on your practice, and then I give coaching insight. So that is a strict 1 hour. And then the third cohort are guys that want to look at the longer term swing and BMR, so that we're meeting only every other week, because they found the meeting every week was actually counterproductive, because they felt guilty they weren't doing enough work, and that was counterproductive. So the 2 week session, every other week, gives them a chance to do more. And those coaching programs last a year. Abraham asked I said, if you would send me your email to Long KE, I will introduce you to those two guys who are using the options, so you can coordinate directly. One of them's Danny, who did the options course. Another one's a pro money manager who's got about 100 million skin in the game. Other questions? Okay, if no other questions for me, I'm going to sign off and let Phil and Griff take care of housekeeping duties. And I sent you guys the slide deck for distribution if needed. I mean, you can put it in the course or email it to people. And again, let me know what dates you pick for the future Q&As, and I'm happy to help. Take good care, guys. Have a great, safe rest of your weekend, and take good care.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. Any last minute questions that you guys may have? And our discussion for the course is open to you to post any additional questions that you may have. And there aren't any questions, then thank you very much for attending our course, and very best wishes to you in your future endeavors. And please keep in touch, and please use our discussion forum if you have follow-up questions.
Thank you,
Thanks,
gentlemen. It's a
everybody.
great course.
Yeah, thank you. Right. All right. We'll post the recordings right after this meeting. We'll just have to process the recording, and we'll send out an email when the recordings are posted.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks again for all your
Thank you.
time and attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So-
So let me stop the recording.